Welcome back, everyone. So we are going to continue with question 6.7, which we started in the previous session, and we're going to finish up in this session. So let's move on to the transaction on the 12th, Bob Seat. Bob Seat contributed a delivery vehicle to the business. So it's a delivery vehicle. All legislative requirements for the full VAT amount to be claimed has been met. So this means we can claim the input VAT. If they don't tell you this, then input VAT is normally denied. Okay, so because of the fact that we've got a delivery vehicle, to what journal do you think we will have to post this information? So the fact that the owner has given us a vehicle, to which journal do we have to take it? Nonkabela thinks it's CBP, so the cash book payments. Any other takers? What do you guys think? Where do we take this? Neil thinks is it the general journal? He's not sure. Anyone else? Where do you think we take it if we receive a delivery of a vehicle? Okay, so let's quickly talk about it. So in your cash book purchases, you would take anything that you've paid. Now, Bob Seard actually gave us a vehicle, so it's not something we paid. So in Nkobele, for that reason, it will not go to your cash book payment because it's not a physical payment from the business. It was a receipt by the business. So Bob Seard gave the business a delivery vehicle. Now, because of the fact that it's not cash, it would not go to the cash book receipt either. And because of the fact that it's a vehicle, we will bring it in your general journal. Okay? So this is one of the ones where instead of the cash book receipts, we're taking it to the general journal. So let's go see how do we actually enter that transaction in the general journal. Okay, now remember we are allowed to claim the input VAT. So that value that he's given to us, just quickly see what the value was 101,800 Rand. That is inclusive of VAT. So that is the amount that will go to capital. But the amount that will go to the vehicle would be the amount excluding VAT because we are allowed to claim the input VAT because we have met all the requirements. So how we would document it in our general journal is as follows. So you would have capital, the 101,800. Then you would have the vehicle, which is the 101,800. Multiply with 100 over 115, which gives you a value of 88,521 and 74 cents. And your input VAT would be 101,800 times 115 over 15 over 115, which will give you 13,278 Rand and 26 cents. Okay. And then your description, which you would also receive a mark for, is owner contributed a delivery vehicle to the business. Okay, so for this reason, because it was a vehicle and not cash, it will always go to your general journal. Okay, because a vehicle does not fit into cash or credit. Let's move on then to the next. Sorry, not that one. Okay, so on the 13th, Mberg returned some of the trading inventory to the value of 1,300. Where do we take any returns? To what journal do we take any returns of something I previously purchased on credit? That's correct. The Debtors Allowance Journal, the DAJ. Okay, so let's just scroll up to the DAJ. So the information you would capture here first is MBERG 1,300 is in the debtors control. You can explain to me how much input VAT will we account for on this transaction? How would you calculate it? How would we calculate the input VAT? You can just type the formula in the chat function, or you can put on your mic and explain it to me. Just going to repeat the question. How will we calculate the input VAT on the 1,300 Rand that we returned? What's the formula? Okay, so Neil says it's 1,300 times 15 over 115. That is absolutely correct, Neil. So you would take the 1,300, you multiply it with 15 over 115, and then the difference will go to your sales return. What I want you to note here, and I'm going to make it red so that it stands out, is that we do not take it back to sales, which was where we took it in our debtors journal. We're taking it to sales returns. Okay, so that is the sales account, and we're also taking it to input VAT and not to output VAT. So those are the two main differences from our debtors journal. So let's go back to our question. Okay, so African Limited received a dividend. We received the dividend from Anglo African Dividend. If we receive a dividend in cash, to which journal will we take it? So if you receive a dividend and it's normally in money, where do we take it? Neil, that's correct, to the CBR. So let's go to the CBR and we go capture it. So we would capture here Anglo African Pto Limited. We would show the 10,400 which we received for the dividend. What column will we enter that amount into? Based on the rest of this, where will we capture the rest, the other side of the entry? Where will we capture the other side of the entry? So in bank, we captured 10,400. Lino says under sundries. That is correct. So it will go to sundries, the 10,400, and it will go to dividends received, Neil, not interest received. So this was a dividend and not interest, but you were on the right track. Now remember, dividends received, because it's money we are receiving, it does not have a VAT component. Okay, so therefore we do not have to raise any VAT on that amount. Okay, then on the 18th, we've got Goldwold. Let me just highlight here, it was returned, it was a dividend. Okay, so petty cash payment for boxes. So we made a petty cash payment for boxes, okay, for 3,424 Rand. Where would we capture anything that we pay out of petty cash? In which journal will we capture that information? In the petty cash journal, that's absolutely correct. So let's go see how to capture that information. So in the petty cash journal, just scroll down, we will capture the information as follows. So you will have PV109, you will have Gottwald, which is the person. Petty cash is 3,424 Rand. Because we purchase boxes, we would claim the input VAT on it, and then the difference would go to packaging materials. Okay, so that's the account that we use when we do any boxes or type things, or printing materials, or any packaging materials would go there. Okay. If they want you to use a combination name, they would generally put it in brackets, or we would allow for a variation when we mark the memo. Okay, then J. Wilkinson, DC468, sale of trading inventory. Okay, so we know it's a credit sale for 78,600. So credit sales go to your debtors journal. Okay, so let's go fill in the debtors journal. So for the debtors journal, we will fill in the following. We fill in DC468 on the 19th, J. Wilkinson, 78,600, and then we calculate the VAT by multiplying it with 15 over 115. The 78,600 multiplying it with 15 over 115, and to work out the sales, we take the 78,600 and we multiply it with 100 over 115, or you can take the debtors control less the output VAT to work to your sales. Now, how do I know that I am actually balancing my journal? Remember, debtors control, your main column is debtors control, so it's 78,600. How do I know I've balanced it? I take the output VAT and I add the sales amount, and I should get to 78,600, which I do here at the end, or at the bottom. You can see 78,600, which means I've balanced. So we're going to debit debtors control, and we're going to credit output VAT and credit sales. So that's how I know that I have balanced my debtors journal. Because a lot of you in the assignment did not balance your journals correctly, so I want you guys to go revise Learning Unit 4 for the test, and make sure that you understand how to balance your journals correctly, because they will ask it and you guys will lose unnecessary marks. Okay, then on the 21st is Motlock, sale of trading inventory. So this was a cash sale for 24,640 less a 15% trading discount. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to deduct the trading discount and we put it into the cash book receipts. So let's go look what should you have entered in the cash book receipts. So the first entry in to work out is you take the 24,640, you multiply it with 85%, or you can do 100% less the 15% to get to 2944. And what's in the analysis of receipts is the same as in the bank. And then we do the output VAT and the sales amount, and we do the calculation exactly the same as what we had have done for the other entries. Then on the 21st, now we can see it's JR, so we know it's a journal voucher or journal receipt. Drawings of trading inventory with a selling price of including VAT of 2,000 Rand, and there was a markup on cost was 20%. Okay, now remember when we do drawings is always done at cost price, not at selling price. So that is why the markup information was given. If markup is on cost, remember your cost price is 100%. The markup would be 20%. That's your profit margin. And then our sales price would be 120. So let's go see how do we actually capture that information. Sorry, just go back one. In our general journal. Thank you, Neil. Okay, so how we capture that transaction is as follows. Drawings would be the 2,000 times 100 over 120. So we're converting the sales price back to the cost price. Because of the fact that we have to pay, we were allowed to claim input VAT on it. The owner, when we take out the inventory for our own personal use, has to pay output VAT to SARS. So for that reason, we then raise output VAT. And because we are busy with the periodic inventory system, we take it to purchases and not to inventory as we normally would. So that was a main difference there. Okay, then on the 22nd, we've got the tea house, petty cash payment for staff tea for 496 Rand. Okay, that would go to your petty cash journal. So let's go to the petty cash journal. What is important to remember is staff refreshments does not have a VAT component to it. So the full amount that we paid would go to staff refreshments. So you would say the tea house, staff tea, and you would put in the full 496 under petty cash and the full amount under staff refreshments or staff entertainment if they give you that column. And no VAT will be claimable because VAT input VAT is denied, as indicated here on the screen. Then on the 24th, we've got Kathmandu Bookshop. We received delivery income from Kathmandu Bookshop, so we got delivery income. This would go, because we received it, it's cash that we received. The 980 would go to your cash book receipts. Because we do not have an account like that, we would then take it to the sundry accounts. So if we account for it here, just going to quickly unhide here. You would have DCS 323, you would have Kathmandu Bookshop, so 980 goes to analysis of receipt, 980 goes to bank, and then we work out the output VAT, which is 15 over 115, and then we take the remaining balance to your sundries account to delivery income. Okay, then on the 25th, we've got a sale of trading inventory. We know this is on credit for 75,000 Rand. And we will complete it exactly the same as we did all the previous ones. Because I know this is the end, we also add up the totals. So we get the total of each column, and you normally would get a mark for that if it was required. If it's not required, they will specifically indicate that in the question. Okay, then on the 25th, point stationers, petty cash payment for stamps. Okay, so petty cash payment for stamps, so we know because it's out of petty cash, it will go to the petty cash journal for 180 Rand. So how you would disclose it in here is point stationery stamps, 180 Rand. Because of the fact that we can claim input VAT, we claim the input VAT of 23.48, and then it's 156 Rand and 52 cents. Okay, then on the 26th, we've got JP Peterson. We've got trading inventory returned. Okay, so trading inventory that we return goes to a DAJ. So that would be the 4,875 Rand. and it would be 635 Rand and 87 cents. And then 4,239 Rand and 13 cents. Okay, then on the 26th, we received a check from M. Berg. No discount was made. Payment on account. Okay, because no discount was announced, this means there was not a full payment. Okay, so Lena are asking, if we are not instructed to total the amounts at the end, do we have to total them? So Lena, if you're not instructed to do it, no. But what you will see in the exam, no. So if they do not specifically state it, you have to do it. If they state that it's not required, they will specifically say it's not required. So similar to what your assignment said. In the assignment, they specifically stated, let me just quickly get the assignment here, just the wording they've used. So in the assignment they said journals need not to be totaled. So if they tell you it does not have to be totaled, you do not total them. Otherwise they will specifically state that it needs to be totaled, or if there's marks assigned to them. Otherwise, if you don't do it, then it's fine. Okay. But there will be specific instruction if they require you to do it for marks. Okay, so we received a check from M. Berg, no discount, payment on account. To which journal will we take this information? Debtors control. Okay, remember, if we get a receipt, it goes to the cash book payments or cash book receipt. And Neil, you are correct. It will go to the debtors control column in the cash book receipt. So let's go have a look at how do we capture it. Okay, so we show M. Berg. We show we received 8,135 Rand and 90 cents, both in the analysis receipt and in the bank account. And then we show it goes to debtors control, the receipt. Now remember, if we receive money for debtors control, it is physical cash that is coming in. We do not show output VAT raised on this. I saw a lot of you in the assignment assign output VAT to this amount. There should be no output VAT, and it should not go to sales. It goes to debtors control when a debtor makes a payment to us. Okay, and the full amount goes to debtors control. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Then on the 27th, we've got D. Campisi, sale of trading inventory. Okay, for 98,000. Now we know that's a cash sale, so we're also going to include it into our cash book receipts. So let's quickly go back to the cash book receipts. So we've got the 98,000. You can either write DCAMPC or you can write cash sales. Either will be marked correctly. And then 98,600, 98,600 under the bank. And then we do the calculation for output VATs and sales, similar to what we've done previously. Okay, then we've got drawings from petty cash by the owner. So drawings is the owner has taken money out of the petty cash box for his own use for 8,000. Where will we capture that? We will capture that in the petty cash journal because it does not relate to a cash payment or petty cash payment. Does not relate to a cash payment, but it relates to a petty cash payment because it's taken out of the petty cash box. So we go to the petty cash journal and we capture that transaction. So we've got cash. This is what was taken out for 8,000 Rand. Now remember, because it's physical cash, there is no input that you would claim on it, and we take it to drawings. So because we finish with this, I'm just going to total the journal as you would if it was required to get to the totals. Okay, then trading inventory was returned. So that goes to our DAJ for 3,144 Rand. So J Wilkinson, 3,144 Rand, and the input VAT in the sales return amount is calculated exactly the same as previously discussed. Okay, so the last 5 transactions on this question. Receipt from J Wilkinson less 6% settlement discount. They tell you the balance owing at the beginning of the month is 17,292 Rand, and they want you to work out this amount. Because it's a receipt, it's going to cash book receipts. Now what I want you to do is I want you to work out what is the amount that he's paid physically to settle his account. So just write down the 17,292 if you don't have a textbook. Just going to give you a few seconds just to write that down. Okay, and then I'm going to put the Excel up because you will need the rest of the information up there. I'm just going to make it slightly smaller so that all the information is on the screen. Okay, so remember we want to know now how much was paid by our debtor at the end of the month. Let me just page back to the question. Okay, so we want to know J Wilkinson, how much did he pay on the 30th? So the information you would need is the opening balance of 17,292, and then you will need all the movements during the year to determine what amount to calculate. And then I want you to either enter your calculation in the chat function, or you can pick up the mic and let me know how you did the calculation. Okay, so have you guys worked out an amount of what Jay Wilkinson have paid? Or do you have a calculation for me? Okay, so guys, how did you do the calculation? Please type your steps in the chat function, or you can put on the mic and explain to me how you worked it out. Okay, let's have a look and see how we do the calculation, because it looks like you guys are struggling with it. Okay, so we said that goes to cash book receipts. Now, how we do the calculation is we start with the opening balance that they've given to us, so the amount that was owing, the 17,292. And then we go add the purchases that Jay Wilkinson has made during the month, which was the 78,600. And then we deduct anything that Jay Wilkinson have returned, which is the 3,144. And then we only apply the settlement discount to that calculation. So your calculation would have been as follows. So you've done the 17,292. You add the 78,600, and then you deduct the 3,144, and then you multiply with 94%, which is the 100% less the 6% discount. And then that amount is what you put into your bank account as well, because we bank the same amount. And that also goes to our debtors control. Now remember, when we receive money from a debtor, there is no output VAT implication. Okay, because it's physical cash that was coming in. Okay, do you guys have any questions on how I did this calculation? Because they do ask this frequently in tests and exams. So is there anything that you're wondering about for that specific calculation? Do you guys have any questions on how I did that calculation? Are you comfortable with how I explained it, or do you need me to re-explain it? Okay, so Tatu has asked that I please explain it again. Okay, so Tatu, for Jay Wilkinson, if they tell you he's making a payment, so the information was we received from Jay Wilkinson less a 6% settlement discount and amount. Now you will only receive a settlement discount if you paid your account in full. Okay, you will not receive a settlement discount otherwise. So they have given you the opening balance. So they tell you the balance owing at the beginning of the month was 17,292 Rand. Okay, so that's your opening balance. That is how much is outstanding in the beginning of the month. Now to work out how much is outstanding before he makes the payment, we start with what was in the beginning of the month. Then we add anything else that he's purchased. Now he's purchased, just going to highlight it in yellow, 78,600 Rand in the current month. But he's also returned, of that 78,600, he has returned 3,144. So what you do is you take your opening balance, you add his additional purchases for the month, you deduct anything he has returned, and then you've worked out his new balance. So this is what's in the bracket here. And then once we've worked out the new balance outstanding, then we apply the 94%. That is what we physically receive. Okay, and that is what we account for here. Now let's go look at the next question. Tatu, does that explain your answer? Or is that explanation good enough for you? Okay, pleasure. And Nick, yes, I will upload this on BC Learn after the class for you guys. Okay, so let's look at the 31st. So on the 31st, we've got a credit loss, bad debt. An amount owing to J. Lomo was written off as irrecoverable, but now we don't know what it is, and we've got the balance in the beginning of the month. Okay, so now what I want you to do is, using the same steps that we've done previously, go work out how much are we writing off for J. Lomo. So just write down, if you do not have a textbook, 14,280 as your opening balance. And then I'm going to open the Excel file again. And then I want you to work out what is the amount we are going to write off for J. Lomo, because he is written off as irrecoverable. Okay, I'm just going to make it slightly smaller. Let's just see if he's made any payments. No. Okay, so using the same steps we used previously with Jay Wilkinson, I want you to follow the same principle to work out what is the amount we are going to write off for Jay Lomo. Okay, so Neil says it's 109,480. Okay, Neil, let's quickly check if you are correct. Okay, so when we write something off as a bad debt, it will go to our general journal. So you are correct, Neil, but remember that amount is inclusive of that, so that goes to debtors control. So the credit losses amount would be the amount excluding VAT. Let me just make this bigger for you guys so you can see it better on the screen. Would be excluding VAT, and then we would claim input VAT. Because of the fact that we raised output VAT on the sale initially, when we have to write it off as bad debt or irrecoverable amount, SARS then allows us to claim the input VAT on that transaction again. Okay. So the amount that we've calculated is what goes to debtors control to make the debtors control balance 0, and that is the amount inclusive of VAT. and then our credit losses would be the amount excluding VAT, and we would be able to claim input VAT. Okay, let's go look at the last 3 transactions. They're all going to the general journal. So I'm just going to read through them, and then we're going to address them all at once. Okay, so the interest charged by Ziad Boots on an overdue account for J. Peterson of 880 Rand. Okay, then we've got the 6% settlement discount allowed to J. Wilkinson. So we're just going to do the same calculation we did up here. So normally you do the 2 transactions at the same time. You show the cash book receipt portion, and you show the general journal entry that shows the discount that was allowed. And then the last one is we realized that computer equipment purchased for 8,976 in July 2007 was debited to office consumables in error. Now remember, when we debited that, we would have excluded the VAT in here. So when we do the correction, it will be the amount excluding VAT. Okay, so let's look at the first entry, the interest we charge to our debtor. So we're going to debit debtors control. You put in brackets which debtor, because when we get to learning unit 7, you will need that information in order to draft their individual accounts. It makes it a lot easier. So to that debtors control, we put 880, and then we credit interest income, which is an income in our books, and it is credited for 880. So then you write there interest on the overdue account. To get to the 6% settlement discount, we do exactly the same calculation we did previously. We do the 17,292 plus the 78,600 less the 3,144, but now we multiply it with 6% to work out the debtors control. Because we would have previously raised output VAT on it, SARS does allow that you can claim input VAT, and then the difference goes to your sales to reduce the sales value that you actually made during the year. And then the last entry is to correct the error we made. Now, because it was in 2007, the VAT would have been 14%. But if there is a different VAT rate in the test, they will let you know. But normally in the test, we keep it all the same. It's just in the textbook. To get to the correct answer, you would have to take 14% because it is a period prior to when the tax rate was changed. Okay, so then we would do debit computer equipment, credit office consumables to correct the error. And remember that amount should be exclusive of VAT. Okay, do you guys have any questions on this question that we've done? Do you guys have any questions? So Nick, if the VAT rate is different, they would specifically note in the test that it's a different VAT rate because it's out of your syllabus. They do not explain in your textbook that it was 14% prior to 1 April 2018. So they would specifically state it is a different VAT rate if there is a different VAT rate in the prior period. That's correct. But for your purposes, they normally in the test, they will use exactly the same tax rate because we're testing exactly the same, whether it's 14% or 15%. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if you don't have any other questions, then for homework, I want you to go complete question 6.1, work through example 6.1 again. That is a very good example to get on top of what's happening in this learning unit. And then do question 6.3, 6.4, and 6.6 for me. If you don't have any other questions, then that's it from me for today. Then I'll see you guys on Friday. On Thursday afternoon at 1, we've got a workshop again where we will go through learning units 6 and 7. We have not discussed learning unit 7, so some of it might be a bit foreign to you, but that is the additional workshop. It is not compulsory, so it's voluntary if you want to join. If you don't have any other questions, then goodbye, and I'll see you guys on Friday.